Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the first legend team of the season. This team is from Dale Up, congrats to him. Also, he wants you all to follow his Twitch, so it's going to be linked in the description if you want to. Feel free to follow him. But we're going to take a look here at the team that he used to hit legend for the first time here in this season, the first legend this season. Going to run a team that is very unbalanced, what we have to say here. It's very unbalanced in terms of Lantern will be a little bit of a problem. If you encounter a lot of Lantern, it might be a little bit tricky, but this is a thing as well, which I always call like calculated risk, because basically what you have here is a team that can beat quite a lot of other teams, and I did not play this team perfectly well either. Like, at least I think 2 of the matches that are lost with this team, I could have won if I just played a little bit better, and this is just something that you kind of have to recognize. Like, this thing for me, for example, which is a little bit tricky always to climb, is just swap my teams very, very often, like twice a day usually, just in order to do like some nice content, but also just to showcase certain kind of teams, and this is going to hinder you a little bit in climbing sometimes. But yeah, here we're going to see already the issue. Lantern. Lantern is going to be the, I don't know, fish in the room here, I guess. This Pokemon is going to be a little bit tricky to deal with. I kind of would be interested in like going for the Dynamic Punch on Poliwrath, which would be kind of funny for this kind of matchup alone. But I guess still going for Scald Icy Wind would be the better move to go for in general. Here we're going to see that it's not going to be a great matchup for against Annihilate either, and so we're going to have kind of a scenario where Gligar has to sweep the entire team while being a shield down. With a Wigglytuff in the back, this is going to be a very tough job. What I heard other people say as well for this team is that you kind of, if you encounter something like a Lantern, that you might even want to swap into your Gligar, expecting that they might be weak to Gligar in the back and that they might stay in against you. I'm not too sure about it. I always kind of like to go into my only answer against the Pokemon, because yeah, I don't know, like for me this is not really it, but here as you can see, this does not work out either as well, so we're going to go ahead and go for some Aerial Ace damage, trying to get them low. But at this point I just want to know how much damage is Pokemon going to do against us, because I actually played the Gligar recently, but I don't really play it too often, so I kind of want to see how much this would do. Next opponent, we're going to have Skeledirge in the lead. This is actually more of a neutral lead than it really looks. You have a water type against a fire type Pokemon, but we don't have water type damage, and the opponent mainly does damage with the what's called ghost typing there with Shadow Ball. So at this point it is not really the most favorable lead for us. It is a little bit favorable for us, so like I'm going to still take it. Here we're going to be able to go for the Aerial Ace, gonna get them low. We most likely have to go for 2 in order to knock them out, but the opponent still uses a shield here, which is kind of interesting. So seemingly they're going to be weak against us in the back, which is already great knowledge, because there's no real reason for them to go for so many shields. But if they use a shield, I decide to use a shield, another Shadow Ball is gonna get shielded, and they decide to swap out into a Dewgong. Here, I honestly is something which I really should have played better in general. Like in all the Dewgong matchups, I have quite a few Dewgong matchups coming up here as well. I should just go for the CMP tie on the second charge move. I don't know why I don't do this. Like for me, I always try to time my moves perfectly or whatever, but CMP tie there would be the ideal play to get as much energy. It does not matter in this case at all. Like it doesn't matter, but like it kind of something that I can improve on for this certain matchup, which is something I just noticed while playing. So yeah, we're going to see here next opponent, Clotsire in the lead, and we're going to see also that the opponent swaps into a Sableye. And here this was actually a matchup that I played a little bit better, I would say, because I go straight for the Aerial Ace. Why do I do this? Because the opponent swapped out, they are 1 turn desynced. If you go straight for your charge move, you basically deny an extra fast move from the opponent. If they're going to go for their foul play first, the advantage basically that we would have got from the swap that they had to do would have been gone then. But here we're going to be able to catch a foul play. I know that this is just going to be a foul play, so that's why I swapped out into the Poliwrath, and in comes a Mandibuzz. And at this point of time, I know this game is over. Like, there's nothing the opponent can do anymore. We're going to have just perfect matchups at this point, because Clotsire has nowhere to go for this team. Like, look at the team, everything beats Clotsire, which makes Clotsire a very difficult Pokemon to run right now, I have to say. But what we can do is we can just go ahead and use my shields here, because yeah, I know that the Poliwrath is just going to be one of the best Pokemon that I can use here, as the Ice type damage is going to be great against the Mandibuzz here, and also the Water type damage is going to be great against the Clotsire. At this point, this game is like over by like a lot already, so I just swap out into the Gligar hoping that they would forfeit, and they decide to forfeit. Moving on now, let's see what the next opponent going to have. Magnezone. This is actually an electric type that I don't mind, because we have two very decent answers in the back. And so here we're gonna get out the Gligar from the opponent, and they're gonna go ahead and go for the Aerial Ace at the same time that I reach the Icy Wind, so I get the shield advantage, which I will gladly take. Aerial Ace can knock me out, I don't really care too much about it, and I can go straight into my Mantine. Why do I go straight? Because I kinda want to farm them all the way down. I have to go for one Aerial Ace first for that, but basically what is going to happen anyway is that we're gonna end up in a scenario where my Gligar is going to be in the back against whatever they have in the back. And my Mantine has to swap out against the Magnezone coming back in. So for me, the best play is just to get my Mantine as low as possible. It doesn't really matter if they're gonna get to another charge move, but just get as much energy as possible. And so the opponent reveals their final Pokemon being an Hakomo-O, so also reveals that their team is very weak against Gligar. And I decided to use a shield here on the Dragonclaw. One Aerial Ace in the beginning would have not knocked them out, but with the extra damage of Wing Attack is definitely going to be enough from this range. So we're going to be able to take the knockout here. And I'm also going to go straight for the dig and not playing around. This is my only lose con if I just go for the bait the entire time. And so I win this game. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have a lead of the Broguiere. A lead that's actually fairly decent for us, but the opponent makes a great play by catching the move onto the Skarmory. I guess for me, also in hindsight, there would be no real reason to go straight for the charge move there. Unless, like, of course, trying to pressure shields, but for the opponent, this was definitely the right play to go for. Scott would have not knocked them out from this range, so I decided to overfarm by a little bit, especially as I will be able to go for another Icy Wind now. This is definitely the kind of right play to do, just like kind of annoying that they caught the move in the beginning, which is something that I could have avoided if I just overfarmed by a little bit more. In comes a Lantern, and not really ideal for me. So, Lantern would be something where I would enjoy a Scald debuff, and I do get a Scald debuff, so we're gonna see already that the damage is coming through here quite decently. They're going to use a shield against an Icy Wind, which is kind of hilarious, but we see already we have them in the deep red health, and so I swap out into the Gligar. I expected that they would swap out as well. They were not going for the Aqua Tail immediately, which I was hoping for, but I can still go for an Aerial Ace. And here we see why it was so unfortunate that they were able to catch the first move there, and I didn't just overfarm by one more. We are not going to reach the Aerial Ace, like by one turn basically. And this is going to really impact this game, of course, as the opponent has a ton of energy now. Awkward Tail is coming through. My only win con now is to try to go for a full farm down. Aerial Ace is not going to be enough against the Broguiere, and so we have to hope that we can farm them all the way down. We cannot, just barely not, and we lose this game. Great play by the opponent though to catch the move on the Skarmory, worked out really well for them. Here again, this is like one of the matchups where I wish I would play it just differently. Like, there's no real reason for me to play it like this. We're gonna see the Icy Wind coming through, going to be okay for us, but we actually see how much this impacts the matchup, because now it's not going to be enough for Scald to knock them out here, so we're gonna see as well that the opponent is going to be able to survive it. We can still go for a counter, which is going to still knock them out because I went for Icy Wind. I didn't go for the other knockout because, like, I actually didn't care if I aligned myself because I have two Pokemon that beat Annihilate, and so I don't really care which Pokemon is going to get aligned. Which turns out later on that this might actually be important to get aligned, which we're gonna be able to do now because the opponent goes into a Whiscash now, which is totally fine for Mantine. That would have not been really ideal for the Gligar, but I still think I would have been able to win the game even if the Gligar would have get aligned against the opponent here, because at the end of the day, you still do a ton of damage with Aerial Ace and we have the Shadow variant, so it is kind of fine. Aerial Ace coming through here from our Mantine though, which is going to be just the hardest wall to this Pokemon. They're going to decide to use the shield. Like, honestly, at this point, they could have already decided to forfeit as well. Like, already my Mantine alone, if I would just use some shields on this Pokemon, would have been able to beat the entire opponent's team at this point. So, yeah, I still just going to decide to stay in. Aerial Ace coming through. They can use another shield if they want to. Oh, they're swapping to their Annihilate. I don't care. I'm not going to use a shield here. But I can swap out if I want to after this Aerial Ace, and maybe the opponent decides to forfeit then, because this game is over a long time ago, so please just decide to forfeit. Never mind, they're still trying their best. And so we're just going to play this game out, and we can farm them all the way down, and now it's too late to forfeit anyway for them. Oh wait, look in the bottom right, they forfeited on the last move, man. Like, it was over like 10 years ago. Next opponent, we're going to have a great lead again of the Mantine against the Annihilate, and in comes again the Dugong. Here was very late on the swap, which is kind of unfortunate, but if they're going to go for the Drill Run, I don't really care. Actually, for them, it's going to be better, most likely, to go for the Icy Wind over the Drill Run, even though Drill Run does more damage, but I think they're going to get to a secondary charge move if they would have went for the Icy Wind. But yeah, we're gonna see here Scald knocking them out. They're gonna go back, of course, into their Annihilate. Annihilate is going to not enjoy our charge move either. We can still go for a Scald, which is going to be great. But I think this opponent actually places one really well as well. Let's find out here together. Scald coming through, going to do a ton of damage, not gonna get the debuff. And they're having in the back the Alolan Sandslash. And this is scary. This is a very scary, because this is going to be a core breaker for Mantine plus also our other Pokemon here in the back, the Gligar. Especially with Powder Snow, it is going to be so tough to deal with this one, because it will do so much damage against my Gligar. So I'm just deciding to stay in here with my Mantine, trying to do as much damage with Aerial Ace as possible at this point. But the opponent is just deciding to go ahead and go for the Ice Punch spam. I can still go for another Aerial Ace, which is going to allow us to get a shield from the opponent. And I still will be able to reach one on time, which can be kind of important, but let's find out here together. Aerial Ace coming through. We are forced to swap out now into the Gligar. Look at the damage output from the opponent's fast move alone. We're still having 2 shields, so they're not going to be able to go for 3 Ice Punches, but I'm kind of scared of what charge move the opponent's Annihilate has. Even a Shadow Ball, I think, at this range would be enough to knock us out, and so we have to hope that we can still... no way we're gonna be able to lift this one. Shadow Ball going to knock us out, or it's just a close combat for whatever reason, and we can easily win the game. Next opponent, we're going to have a game here that I most likely also kind of misplay a little bit. We're going to find out here. LilyNiRiain in the lead. It is kind of a neutral lead, like, it is not really something where you can really win this one, I think, as a Mantine. I think LilyNiRiain just has a little bit too much bulk, and just the lick damage is just adding up a little bit too fast. But as you can see here, Aerial Ace coming through, going to get a little bit of damage. We can let the next move go through as well from the opponent, which is going to be their Body Slam. And we see we could still easily survive another Body Slam from this range, but I still decided to use a shield here because I am not paying attention to the battle. I was doing some stuff for this video already in the background, and this was kind of not an ideal scenario for me, because I think if I let the move go through, I would have been able to maybe get a shield advantage here in the beginning, which would have been great. So my fault entirely. So definitely something I could have done already, but like usually I already do like the background graphics and stuff like this while doing my battles, especially for something like this, which I kind of want to get out a little bit urgent. So here we're gonna see the Kaiwei coming in, a Pokemon that I actually think has a lot of play in the current meta. Actually a Pokemon I kind of want to try out myself, and I like the idea of the opponent's team here. Is we will see the Shadow Ball going to get shielded by me. We see the Aerial Ace coming through, and we have to hope there's something in the back that we can deal with. And I expected that it would be a Gligar, but like there's not a lot that I can do about it. Gligar and Kaiwei, of course, both covering for the only weakness of the LilyNiRiain, which is fighting type Pokemon. And so this team does make a lot of sense. Like LilyNiRiain plus Gligar core has been overpowered since basically the beginning of the Aerial Ace update, I would say. So yeah, it is what it is. Like it's not going to be a win here, sadly. I don't think there was really a lot that I could have changed though, so good game there. I think there was just a loss based on team comp. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have a Wigglytuff in the lead, which is going to be kind of fine for me. I actually do kind of enjoy this Pokemon in the lead over other Pokemon, so let's see here. The opponent swaps out into the Skarmory, totally okay with it as well, so I can avoid this Pokemon with my Gligar, which is going to be great for me. We're going to see here as well that they're going to go for the Sky Attack. I have to overfarm by a little bit because like Scald would have not knocked them out at the range where they went for the Sky Attack anyway. So Scald coming through now, going to get the knockout. They swap, of course, back into the Wigglytuff, and here I make a crucial mistake. I should have went for Icy Wind. Because this is not going to get the debuff, and this is actually impacting the battle a lot, which you're going to see next. And I screw this game up in so many different ways, which is absolutely wild. We also see in the back a Lantern, which is totally okay for us actually, because we still have our Gligar this time around. And yeah, basically here we can take a surf for sure. We can just go for the double dig, like we don't really have to bait here at all. Like baiting is the only way of kind of losing this matchup. And so the dig is coming through, the opponent is letting this move go through as well. And I can decide to use a shield here, which is totally fine for me, because I can still reach another Aerial Ace, which is going to knock them out here, and I can overfarm by a lot as well. But as you're gonna see here now from the opponent, they're going to use a shield, they're gonna knock me out, all good basically. But what I thought was, I have to go for an Aerial Ace here now anyway, and I thought at this point that the Wigglytuff would not be in range for one Ice Beam. Ice Beam does a little bit more than the Aerial Ace, of course, but so I decided to hope that I can just go for a double Aerial Ace, and as you're gonna see here, Ice Beam would have been enough, and so I lose the game because I'm silly. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed the video about the first legend in the season. Check out the videos on the screen, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.